Well, I think it speaks volumes that Conservatives, backbench MPs, and even those in the government, even the Prime Minister himself, bemoaning the state of the country, despite, of course, them having the opportunity with a big majority to have implement changes. Instead, we've seen a regime that really has been heavy on rhetoric and talk and very light indeed on action. Now, you did see, following George Galloway's by-election victory, Rishi Sunak come out. And by the way, one of the remarkable things about that by-election is not only the Galloway victory, but also that you had in second place an independent, David Tully, who no one had ever heard of, who came second with over 20%, which is some going. But yeah, you had Rishi Sunak, as ever, rather than leading, reacting with a speech, again, heavy on words, very light on any actual real plan or concrete action. He hit out at Islamist extremists and the far right. We know that when it comes to MI5's caseload, around 75% of it actually comprises of Islamist security threats. Many asking just who are these far right groups. It certainly isn't the far right that are going on weekly hate marches. It also fascinates me that you very rarely see the term far left, hard left, extreme left ever used, even when you see an anarchist there convicted, found guilty of terror offences. But of course, we've seen the government allow hate marches week after week in London. And you just compare the extremely weak response we've seen from our government to, for example, in France, who ordered the ban of all pro-Palestinian protests months ago. You saw police in Germany breaking up a banned pro-Palestinian rally. You've seen in Germany the slogan "From the river to the sea." It's now a criminal offence to use that slogan. And of course, you did have a Home Secretary in Suella Braverman who wanted to take a tough stance on all of this, and for her troubles was sacked. She has been vindicated by what we've seen transpire month after month, week after week. The Tories had listened to her. They may have actually had a chance of dealing with this and indeed of winning the next election. But instead, you've seen Braverman relegated to the backbenches, where she's actually put forward some very sensible suggestions that the government should have implemented long ago, to criminalise the cheerleaders of terrorism, to clarify that anti-Semitic chanting like "From the river to the sea" and jihad is illegal, and to allow ministers to ban a march if there is a risk of violence. Reform UK, meanwhile, their leader Richard Tice, his response to Rishi Sunak's speech yesterday, describing it as a weak, feeble plea, saying it was utterly craven, meaningless and wet, and that this crisis requires serious action, that reform would actually ban these anti-Semitic marches. And such is the disgust with what is going on in this country at the moment. You can see the rise in support for reform, actually the prospect of reform overtaking the Conservatives by the next general election in terms of the polling. I mean, it's a tall order, but it's certainly not impossible now, because you see reform in the latest YouGov on 14%, on double the level of support of the Lib Dems or the Greens. The Conservatives on 20%, Labour with another big lead on 46%. But again, when you break this down now, it means getting on for a third. 29% of those who voted Conservative at the last election and 29% of Leavers overall are now planning to back reform. So I'm afraid Rishi Sunak's speeches, and of course we've seen endless speeches. We saw speeches on stopping the boats, and he refused to leave the ECHR. He hasn't stopped the boats. As I said, lots of speeches, lots of tough words, but I'm afraid in election year, this simply isn't going to be good enough. And, you know, the fact that you've got Conservative politicians, as I said, constantly bemoaning the state of affairs, but unwilling to implement the actual action needed to stop this madness, that really does say it all. Let me know if you agree with that or not in the comments below, guys. What did you make of Rishi Sunak's intervention? What do you want to see done? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, please. I will, of course, keep bringing you all the latest on this and more. So please do whack this video a quick thumbs up. And of course, as ever, cheers for watching.